In today's show, we're looking at Tuesday. There are 13 games on, how we're streaming in, if we're streaming in, but more importantly, what we're watching for, injury updates, and Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So, no games Monday, obviously, so no recap show or anything like that coming. We've got 6 days left in the NBA regular season, and what we're really going to be focusing on the channel here are recap shows and streaming preview shows. That's really all we need to cover for this final week of the season. You have to be up to date on injury reports because there's going to be wacky stuff that happens. I've basically got updates on all teams for Tuesday's game so far. There might be one team that we're still waiting on the Spurs updates. I think we've got updates on every other team, but we know that that is going to be useless anyway, seeing the Spurs stuff. So we're trying to look at what things are happening. Now, with 13 games on, you are probably going to have all active spots covered. But there might be situations where players arrive into value, which is better than your 8th best player or 9th best player. Maybe that is Skylar Mays. Maybe that is Svi Mykhailiuk, who should probably be rostered everywhere. And we're going to talk about that, guys out, guys in, and what we're expecting from things. It's a weird situation this point of the year. It's why, again, we don't play any head-to-head fantasy at this point. If you are, I'm sorry. But we'll get into it. Warning.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right. The first game we look at is the Cleveland Cavaliers and your Orlando Magic. Look at their schedule for the week. The Cavs only have 3 games, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. The Magic go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So both of them play on the low-volume Thursday there. In terms of what we're watching for, it doesn't appear like Isaac Okoro is going to play for the rest of the regular season for the Cavs, so that does mean that we get more Karis LeVert and probably more Dean Wade. Dylan Windler also listed out, while Admiral Schofield is questionable for the Magic. So injury-wise, it's not that massive stuff happening here, so no real big opportunities. What we do need to watch is Dean Wade, who did play like 27 minutes last game. That's only of use for deeper leagues, but him playing 27 meant that Stevens and Osman dropped way off. And we also got LeVert playing big minutes despite coming off the bench. He is worth having, understanding there will be some weird games and some weird percentage games and some weird low usage performances. For the Magic, last game we saw an absolute cracker from Jalen Suggs, but we know that it's unlikely that it continues every game. We've seen it plenty of times. This Minatan in question, he gets 24 to 26 every night, but he'll score 12 or 18 or 3. And you can get steals from him, you can get some out-of-position blocks, but the percentage impacts can be somewhat of a problem from Jalen Suggs. So we want to see how he looks. The other one we want to watch is the Dart, Goga Bitadze.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Because he's playing like the backup center. Well, he is playing as the backup center. 13, 22, 18 minutes. They are dropping Wendell Carter's minutes down, 26 and 23. They're playing Goga and Mo Wagner together. That means that in deeper formats, Bitadze's ability to get 5-6 rebounds, 1 to 2 blocks, maybe hit a 3, there's a little bit of use in that. So he's not a completely useless player because he is getting playing time. The next game we look at is the Raptors and the Hornets. We just saw these blokes play the other day. The Raptors go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So they got the Wednesday low volume in there. And the Hornets go Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. They got a stinking schedule. That's 13, 11, and 15 game days that they play on. So that makes the value of some of these guys not particularly strong. Now, on the Hornets side of things, you'll be stunned, shocked, amazed to know that they listed Kelly Oubre and PJ Washington questionable for every game, but they are out again, and they won't play this season. There's no way that Rozier's playing, or Hayward's playing, or Oubre's playing, or Washington's playing. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know about Dennis Smith Jr. I think there is a chance that he plays, but he's missed 3 consecutive games after being listed questionable in all of them. A true Hornets legacy moment like no other. So with him out, you have to look at a Teo Maledon who can step into that spot and played 41 minutes last game. Now, in terms of the center rotation, I don't know what to tell you because they've been a little bit all over the place in terms of figuring that out because Kai Jones has played 4 consecutive games. So much for 2 games on, 1 game off. This theoretically is the game that Mark Williams does not play. So Nick Richards should start and Jones can be the backup 4 and backup 5. But we will find out about that, won't we? On the Hornets side, Anunoby is questionable. Trent is questionable. And if they are both out, then you would have to think that Chris Boucher is worth a look. But the other guy to look at would be, I think, Christian Koloko. They go and play him exclusively as the backup center behind Pirtle, who we know can get in foul trouble, meaning Boucher plays a lot at the 4 and Siakam plays a lot at the 3 if OG does happen to be out. The other one to watch for deeper leagues would be the big fella, Jeff Doughton. Speaking of the big fella, Obi's just walked in. I think he wants me to pick him up, so I'll go do that. There he is indeed, the big fella. On the Hornets side, Mihailuk has been awesome. I think he's worth having. And even though they've got a shit schedule, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, he's startable on all 3 of those days, I think. I'm less certain about Jimmy Bouknight, who has played well also the last couple of games. Him and John Davis are showing like, hey, top 15 or lottery pick busts in the last week of the season. Can they score points? And so far the answer's been yes. So Bouknight's at least an interesting stream option here. And then we work out what happens with the big men like Kai Jones, JT Thorne, Nick Richards. They're all worthy of use on this day. But I'm not sure they're startable. I do feel like Mihailuk is. I don't think McGowan's is, and I'm not sure Bouknight is. But I do think that Svi is, and then you got the mess, as I said, with the big men in that one. Today's episode is brought to you by a new sponsor, and that is Game Time. Game Time, yeah. It's the NBA playoffs coming up, and sometimes it's an experience. And by experience, I mean it's not a great process. Trying to get tickets for games, or you need an extra ticket, or you go, hey, I'm going to be in town here. Let's see what we can do. And then you panic and try and find the right tickets. Well, buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theatre near you. And they've got killer deals on last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee, so you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. I'm glad they wrote hyped in that copy and not hype. That annoys me when people say that, but that doesn't matter. On Game Time, you go and see, like, they got flash deals, things, last-minute tickets. Here's a great deal. Why don't you go see this? What are you doing tonight? Nothing. Go see a show. Go see some comedy. Go see a live sporting event. It is all there. You don't have to plan all this stuff months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Let's go to the next game. It is the Bucks and the Wizards. 4 games apiece for these blokes for this week. The Bucks, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you got the Wednesday low volume there. The Wizards go the same Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Pretty common schedule for teams. The Bucks, there is a back-to-back there, as you can tell. So they have thankfully they've already done this. They've ruled Chris Middleton out of that game on Tuesday, and he's going to play the game on Wednesday. Grayson Allen with his ankle is out Tuesday. I wouldn't be shocked if Grayson misses Friday as well. On the Wizards side of things, Beal is out. Shockingly, Kuzma's out. Fake. Monte Morris is out with an ankle, and Kristaps Porzingis is out. He is reconditioning from his illness. How long do you reckon that reconditioning is going to take? Do you reckon it's going to push him through to the end of the year? I reckon it might. Pretty frustrating that they just won't say that any of these guys are done. Like, we're going to assume that Beal and Kuzma are done, and I think that's reasonable for us to assume that they're finished for the season, but it's just frustrating to not get... Hey, anyone heard an update on Bojan Bogdanovic, who hasn't played in a month? No? No one going to say anything about that? No, never. We'll never hear an update on that one. And same with Cody Martin, just going to be out forever, and no one's going to ever talk about it. Anyway, we've got no Porzingis, no Morris, no Beal, no Kuzma, so that's 4 starters gone. On the Bucks side of things, Bob Portis played 28 minutes last game. They just took Pat Connaughton out of the rotation, so he's got real value, especially with Middleton out here. And let's see about Connaughton. I assume that he plays with Allen and Middleton out, and maybe he's useful for deeper leagues, but I just want to see how he looks or what he's done to have been kicked out of the rotation. For the Wizards, Corey Kispert's taking every shot in the world. Fair enough, because no one else is there to do it. Delon's not going to do it. John Davis is not really going to do it. Dan Gafford's not going to do it. Denny Avdia's not going to do it. Kispert's going to put up 20 shots a game, basically. And he might have 27 points with 5-6 threes. He will do very little else because he doesn't do anything else. But the thing is that when there's a player like this who's an elite three-point shooter, and he's shooting one of the best percentages in the NBA from three, is that when he's getting a ton of shots, you're going to get a ton of points. And that makes him useful. I also want to watch John Davis, who is playing some pretty strong minutes. He's starting. And much like James Bouknight, he's been a terrible NBA player in his very short NBA career. But he's got an opportunity to rack up some numbers here in the final week. I wouldn't say that he's a 12-team option. But if 7 games are on today or on Tuesday, yeah, I would consider using John. Because I do think he's going to get a relatively sizable role. The Heat and the Pistons is the next one that we take a look at. Both teams play 4 games. The Heat play on Thursday. They go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So a really good Thursday game for them. The Pistons Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. We know that Nikola Jovic, Little Chungus, he is out for the Heat. And of course, Bojan Bogdanovic is out for the Pistons. We know that Alec Burks is out for the Pistons. We know that Marvin Bagley is out with a concussion protocol. You would have to expect that ends his season. It's concussion protocol. I don't know why they would rush him back. I think that might be it for him. And I think Rocket Rodney Magruder might be out as well.
Rocket, we can't think. Sorry, mate. Come on.
So with the assumption that all those guys are out, there are a few options we can look at. The big ones, though, I think to pay attention to are Miami. Bam Adebayo and Kyle Lowry are questionable. Bam dealing with a hip issue that cost him last game, and that meant Cody Zeller was viable. They also moved Kevin Love to the bench, and he was he's much better. I won't say pretty good. He was much better in that role. They started Max Strus with Cody Zeller next to him. So we do want to see if Love is able to replicate that. I'd have pretty low probability of Love being good in 19 minutes, but he was last game. And then we have to watch Zeller, who played 29 minutes and was absolutely a start if Bam was out. On the Pistons, there's a couple of ways they can go. They can start Eugene Omoruyi, or they can start, they can start James Wiseman and Jalen Duren together. That sounds disgusting because it is, but I suppose they've got examples of playing Marvin Bagley next to James Wiseman, so maybe they can try Marvin Bagley the fourth next to Jalen Duren. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be disgusting, whatever they do, because it is the Pistons, and we'll see how that all works out. But we do want to watch Omoruyi, and this opportunity gives Omoruyi, Wiseman, and Duren opportunities to be 12-team league guys. Whereas Bagley was playing, you'd get Wiseman playing 25 minutes and Duren playing 23 and not being probably worth looking at in that sort of situation, which of course is ridiculously frustrating. The next game we look at is the Wolves and the Nets. The Wolves play a weird schedule. They play Tuesday. I think the weirdest schedule this week. Tuesday and then no games until Saturday. So there's a three day break in the middle, which includes 2 low volume days. Now, Saturday is a low volume day, so that's worth it. But yeah, holding on to your fringe Wolves, and by fringe Wolves, I mean Conley, Anderson, they're probably Jaden McDaniels. When you miss out opportunities to stream in Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday, I'm not sure that's worth it. Yes, the weekend back-to-back for them is nice, but you wouldn't probably start them on a 15-game Sunday anyway. So you would with Gobert, you would with Towns, you would with Ant. So that's why they are going to be holds. You hold those guys for sure. But those other players, like getting 1 game out of Conley and Anderson on Saturday or McDaniels versus using that spot to stream in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think that's the way I lean. Brooklyn goes with the standard schedule Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. We know that the Wizard of Naz Reid is out. Cool. And Towns is questionable, and Jalen Noel is questionable. Towns, that's interesting that he is popping up questionable with the calf issue. I don't know why. It's not a back-to-back. They've had a day off in between. They've got 3 days off afterwards. He played 25 minutes last game, but that was mainly foul trouble. So that is very intriguing that he's back on the injury report. So I want to see what Kyle Anderson, how he recovers from throwing up the worst layup attempt I've ever seen in that game where they tried to win against Portland. Is he going to stick at 31, 32 minutes? I think he does, and we'll see how they use him. But I also want to see what happens if Jalen Noel returns, because he's been out almost every game, and Anderson plays a lot of guard, plays a lot of point guard as well. And if Noel is there, does that impact Kyle Anderson? I don't think it does, but it's worth watching. And then on the net side of things, I just want to keep eyeing off Mikal Bridges because he's playing tons of minutes. He's having some efficiency issues, but the free throw attempt rate has been great. And this is more just to gather information about what we do with him next season. I think this Nets team's not going to look anywhere close to this next season. I'm not even sure Bridges is going to play for this Nets team next season. But we get a little bit more information of him in a number one role and what the impact of high usage does to his other numbers. Royce O'Neal, the Basmati man, he was shit house last game, 19 minutes, but he was playing solidly before that. Now, on a lower volume day, you would consider him a streamer, but this is not one of those, so he does not look to me like he is going to be a 12-team league player. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the online therapy. We all know that there are hard things in our life that we have to get through, that we have to deal with, and we have to be better with ourselves to be able to cope with the changes and challenges that things come to us. Like, it's really difficult at times to understand those coping skills, whatever our individual and unique challenges are. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is online therapy. You don't have to have the stress of trying to find a therapist, have to drive to a therapist, have to sit in a waiting room, nothing like that. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire and BetterHelp will match you with a therapist who best suits what you need and the sort of person you are. And you know what? If you go in there and you meet online, you have that chat and that they don't really match with you, well, you can just change to another therapist without any charge at all. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. The Nuggets and the Rockets. Interesting schedule here for Denver. They go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So, low volume Thursday, low volume Saturday. We need to pay attention to Denver. Houston goes Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, the worst. 13, 11, 15. That's bad. On the Nuggets side of things, I am having significant doubts that Big Chungus is going to play this week. I don't think he is. If he doesn't, it does make things very interesting. Look, they don't need him against Houston. They probably don't need him against Utah, and they're not going to need him the last game against Sacramento. That everyone's going to be resting that one. The only one you consider is against Phoenix on Thursday, but he's legitimately hurt, so I don't know when he is going to be available. I would not be counting on Jokic this week. There's also Zeke Naji, who's questionable, who will get minutes if Jokic is out. And then there's Jamal Murray, the headmaster's probable. While the Rockets continue to rule Jayshawn Tate out, he's done for the season. Forget it. He's cooked. What we do want to watch is Peyton Watson, because Watson's played 27 and 20 minutes the last two games. He had 3 blocks last game in 20 minutes. Yes, it does help that Naji was out, but you cannot deny how well Peyton Watson has played. And I would have to think that, I would have to think that the doctor, Michael Malone, finds some sort of role for him. I don't know what that role is, but he finds some role. Very interestingly, no Tom Bryant at all the last 2 games without Jokic, and DeAndre Jordan's played 1 of the 3 games. So is Bryant. They just say, you guys are shit house, you're not playing. We're going to just play small Watson, Jeff Green at center. And that's illuminating. Bruce Brown's also going to benefit significantly. He's getting really strong minutes at the moment, 37-32 the last 2 games, so there's a real value with him. And remember, we've got the 2-game here, the 2-game quality in the middle. That's really useful for these guys. For the Rockets, Tari Eason stunk. Like, he's been so bad with his field goal percentage. It's almost impossible to have him on a roster. And with only 3 games and only high volume days, unless someone gets hurt. Get that garbage out of here! Jalen Green, Filipino legend. We know there's going to be significant field goal percentage issues. I more just want to see something else. Some development in pick and roll, some development in passing. I don't think I'm going to see it. And I think he's going to be a guy that's really hard to roster next season if you aren't built the correct way. The Hawks and the Bulls, both teams with 4 games next week, both teams playing the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday combination. We know that DeAndre Hunter is out with that knee issue. I actually think that'll keep him out for the rest of the week. And then Trae Young popped up on the injury report with an illness. On the Bulls side of things, both Alex Caruso and Javonte Green are listed probable. For the Hawks, with Hunter out, Sadiq Bey will probably be worth a start. He played 30 minutes each of the last 2 games. He's not a particularly good player. We're all well aware of that. but there is an opportunity here with extra minutes for him. And then if Trey is out, that means more shots go towards Bay. Now, if Trey is out, I expect that they will start Bogdanovic, and there'd be a couple of extra straggler minutes for Adrian Griffin Jr. or for Aaron Holiday, or maybe even old mate Vic Krejci could step in, but that doesn't impact most people. For the Bulls, Kobe White continues to play really well, and he's, I think, almost worth an ad. I think he's a top 100. Well, I know he's a top 100 player over the last week. You probably can find a better option out there, and you probably have better options on your roster, but he's someone to not ignore. And then there's Patrick Williams, who will flash occasionally at 12 points. Sorry, not like Josh Primo. I've used that joke before, but it's always going to be one that I'm going to go to. Williams can score sometimes. He can get blocks sometimes. But when it comes, it's just not reliable enough to get it and put it into your lineup. It just doesn't happen enough. But let's see. Can we get something out of this bloke in year 3? Blazers, Grizzlies. The Blazers go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So they've got the good Thursday, Saturday combination. The Grizzlies go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So the standard schedule there. Nasir Little has been ruled out for Portland, as has Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Yusuf Nurkic, Jeremy Grant. We know those guys aren't coming back. But now they've also got Cam Reddish, John Butler, Trendon Watford, and Kevin Knox on the injury report as questionable. So I'll say it now. Like, what do we do? I don't know. I don't know what that means, because Kevin Knox played 29 minutes last game coming off the bench, and he could be out. Watford started and played 19 minutes. He could be out. John Butler played 18 minutes. Well, he could be out. I don't know. Cam Reddish is allegedly questionable. I don't think Cam Reddish is going to play, but who knows? It's a very big, confusing situation. Also, Dylan Brooksy Brooks is questionable for the Grizzlies.
The world.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I was going to say there. Yeah, Dylan Brooks. So I just saw a Shams notification that Justin Champagny is signing with the Celtics. I mean, cool. I don't think that means anything, but there you go. Back to this one. So I don't know why that just distracted me. For the Blazers, Skylar Mays feels secure. Him and Eubanks and Sharp are probably 12-team league guys. There is a situation where they just limit Mays and play Shaq Harrison over him, but at the moment, Skylar Mays is worth rostering. So is Sharp, so is Eubanks. I thought Knox could be as well, but he's also popped up as questionable. So maybe it's Jabari Walker. If you got both Knox and Watford out, it's going to have to be Jabari Walker. And then you've got old mate Jonathan Williams Jr., who could get some minutes there too, and I wouldn't feel comfortable starting a bloke called Jonathan. For the Grizzlies, we do want to watch the Duck Luke Kennard, because if Brooks is out, he's probably going to step up even more. He's a great points and threes stream, probably on the lesser end of like a Corey Kispert, but he's going to hit him. He's going to hit threes. He's going to take him. Hopefully he takes a lot, but he's going to get quite a few up. While Xavier T. Illman, 30 minutes a night for 5 consecutive games. We expect that continues. We hope that continues. Fingers crossed that it continues, and he remains a 12-team guy and a 12-team start. The Celtics and the Sixers. Boston goes Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Philadelphia goes Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Rob Williams is out. This is the first of a back-to-back for the Celtics, so Rob Williams is out of this one, and Jaylen Brown is questionable.
JB, you've done it again.
That means Horford will play, and then Williams will probably play Friday, and Horford will probably sit. Wednesday. Williams will probably play Wednesday, and Horford will probably sit Wednesday. If Jaylen happens to be out, I would expect to get obviously more from Brogdon, more from Smart, more from White. But you might get Peyton Pritchard have to step into a larger role, which would be somewhat important for deep leagues. Browns is a low back pain situation. They do have a back-to-back, and they're basically locked into the number 2 seed, so they're not really going to move from there. So we want to watch to see what happens. If Brown's out, Sam Hauser might get a couple of extra minutes, 12 points, 4 threes, maybe. And then you got Blakey Griffin, who played like 25 minutes last game. That was with both Williams and Horford out, but he's at least a deeper league option for us. For the Sixers, we're always just what is going to happen with D'Anthony Melton. There is probably going to be guys for the Sixers that sit at some point this week, meaning Melton gets at least one more crack at good minutes. So if you can hold him on your bench, you do it. But watching what his role is, or if there's any consistency, will be interesting. And then Paul Reed, who even in low minutes, like Reed hasn't gone over 20 minutes over the last week, yet he's a top 100 fantasy player. And Doc does some stupid things all the time. If we could get Reed to 17 minutes, I'd actually feel okay about him being a minimum 14-team league player. But I'm not sure that we're going to get there. But I like watching him play and seeing how Doc can misuse him as much as possible. The Kings and the Pelicans. The Kings go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, as do the Pelicans. We know Zion's out. We know Jose Alvarado's out. Malik Monk, who, it's all fine, guys. He just suffered a little bit of tightness in the warm-up. Now they're calling it a low-level calf muscle strain. Remember, teams lie all the time about injuries. They downplay them all the time. I don't know whether Monk's going to play or not. We'll find out. The Kings, they're quite locked into their seeding spot, but they have some games against teams that might or might not be trying. The Dallas Mavericks might be shutting down Kyrie and Luka. I don't know. We'll see about that. But they play them on Wednesday. But Monk is questionable. We saw Terrence Davis step into that role, but there's still so much uncertainty with Barnes, Murray, Herter, Monk. They seem to go back and forward every single game, making them very, very difficult to rely upon. On the Kings side, Alex Len's getting minutes. 16, 13, and 12 the last 3 games ahead of Chimezie Metu. And that means that if Len's getting those minutes for deeper leagues, that is a backup center who can get you a block or 2 and 5 to 6 rebounds. And yeah, it is important. It is important for those deeper leagues. And then we watch Fanta Panthers minutes, Kevin Herter, who 27, 21, 22, 32. Yes, the 21 and 22 were big blowouts, but we know that there is a lot of predisposition for Mike Brown to limit the playing time at certain situations. On the Pelicans, Larry Nance's minutes have pushed back up the last couple, and Valanciunas have come back under 30. Valanciunas went 34, 32, 30, and then 22, 25, 28. Now, 25 and 28 is still really strong, but Nance has gone 20-plus minutes in 3 consecutive games, coming down 25 to 23 to 20, but still there. Is he a 20-minute-a-night player or a 15-minute-a-night player? Well, Josh Richardson didn't really do a huge amount last week. We loved the fact that they played 4 quality games, but he's back in 20-minute-a-night role. And one of the dumbest coaching moves outside of starting KZ Okpala early this season was the fact that Josh Richardson supplanted Trey Murphy as the starter for a stretch. One of the dumbest coaching decisions. One of the biggest veteran wank moves I've ever seen. Well, you're a veteran. So can you please start for me? Or what about Justin Holiday starting? That was a good one as well. The veteran wank is such a weird phenomenon. And you look at it and you go, what are you doing? And then 3 days later, the coach looks back and he has like the post-nut clarity. He's like, what happened there? Like, what's this on my phone? Really? Stepmoms? Like, what are we doing? And then he reverts back to normal. Somewhat normal. Let's go to the next game. Lakers-Jazz. The Lakers, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Jazz, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The Jazz threw a spanner in the works. They upgraded the Padawan, Colin Sexton, to questionable. All right. What do I do with that? They upgraded Lauri Markkanen to questionable as well. So Markkanen has gone off 33 minutes, off 36 minutes, off 35 minutes, now listed questionable. I think this is going to be an out here for Markkanen. I don't think he's going to play, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play. And Sexton, I think, has a higher chance of playing. We know that Jordan Clarkson's out. He's done for the year, I'm pretty sure.
JordanClarkson.
But the Clarkson one's interesting. What does this mean for Dunn? What does it mean for, not Toscano. Oh, yeah, Toscano Anderson, Horton Tucker. What does it mean? The other big news is Walker Kessler's done for the season with a concussion. That's official. He's done. Will they start Kelly Olynyk at center? Will they start Udoka Azubuike? Will they start Damian Jones? Could it be Olynyk and Toscano Anderson in the front court? Could Olynyk start next to Azubuike? Could Shamanic start next to Olynyk? There's a lot of options there. I don't think I'm interested in any of them to stream in on Tuesday for 12-team leagues, but we do want to watch to see which direction they go. On the Lakers, last game was really, really strong from Rui Hachimura. I buy it absolutely not one single bit. It was a weird game. It was a blowout game. It was a great game from Hachimura, but do not add him based on that. And then Troy Brown went back from 7 minutes to 26 minutes. Was that a Russell injury thing? D'Angelo Russell is probable in this one, by the way. LeBron is questionable. I don't really think we need to buy into that with Troy. And on the Jazz, we're watching Abaji, we're watching Azubuike, we're watching Toscano Anderson, we're watching Fontecchio, Shamanic, Dunn. We're watching Jones, we're watching Azubuike, we're watching Sexton if he plays. I think that the Markkanen thing's bullshit. I don't think he's going to play. The Sexton one is more interesting to me. I don't think I'd add Colin Sexton, though, by the way, in the 12-team league. I don't think he's good enough or going to play enough. And I still would roll with Toscano Anderson. Not Toscano Anderson, what I keep calling out. Horton Tucker and Dunn. I would still roll with those guys for now. The Thunder and the Warriors. The Thunder only 3 games, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So one real value game there on the Thursday, while the Warriors also 3, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. Stinking for them. We got the big news here, and I forgot to update this bottom bit from the Jazz situation. But I'll tell you who the guys are out. Andrew Wiggins is out, but he is going to be back with the team. So I think you might see Wiggo play limited minutes on Friday and on Sunday. I am not sure that Andrew Wiggins on an 11-game Friday in limited minutes, or definitely a 15-game Sunday in limited minutes, is worth a 12-team pickup. This is a guy in category leagues who's borderline usable anyway. let alone when he's been off for months because of personal issues. So I wouldn't want to necessarily go and grab him for those games when I don't know that you would necessarily use him. On the Thunder side of things, there's no one that's appeared on their injury report, so they're healthy. They're healthy, so that's great news. We want to watch Aaron Wiggins, who has played 32, 28, and 22 minutes the last 3 games. The fact that it's trending down makes me worried that he will get one of those 8-minute games from Wiggins. It's really only useful for deeper leagues, but he is sometimes an important player. And then the other one is Midwest Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, who continues to just miss every shot he takes.
No, my son is also named Bort.
But also played tons of minutes, 38, 37, and 39 minutes. They are basically in the play-in now. I think they only need to win 1 game here. And with the Mavs maybe shutting it down, they should be safe even if they only win 1. I want to watch Dort to see if we get anything that resembles offensive IQ, but I doubt it. For the Warriors, Kuminga was on the bench last game. Is that going to continue? I don't think we need to hold him anyway with Wiggins returning. And then the other one to watch is Jordan Poole. He only played 20 minutes last game. DiVincenzo's minutes ramped back up. That was likely because Poole was in foul trouble. But of course, we always want to see if there's anything that's sticky in that scenario. The Spurs and the Suns, the last game. The Spurs go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. The Suns go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So the Spurs have got the good Thursday, Saturday combo. The problem is it's the Spurs, and we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know. I am going to assume that Jeremy Sohan is out. I'm going to assume that Devin Vassell is out. I'm going to assume that Keldon Johnson is out, but I do not know. Johnson's last 5 games, played, missed, played, missed. Vassell's gone, missed, played, missed. Sohan has missed all 5. That's why I'm very confident that Sohan doesn't play. The others I don't know, and then who knows what happens from there. Does Zach Collins play all 4 games this week? I highly doubt that. Does he even get to 2? I don't know. It's a very, very weird situation with this team in trying to work out what they're going to be able to do. Last game, with weird rotations, we saw, not Sandro Mamukelashvili, we saw Dom Barlow step up and put together an unbelievable game.
What the hell?
We also saw it for Julian Champagny, who shot like 65%. The opportunities for those guys have to come from guys sitting out. And last game, we had Johnson, Vassell, and Sohan out. We also had limited minutes for Mamu and for Wesley, and barely played Romeo Langford. So there's lots of question marks as to what they're going to do. Like starting Devontae Graham and playing him 17 minutes. It's very hard to trust anything. Like Trey Jones feels reliable. Keita Bates-Diop feels reliable, but I just don't know. On the Suns side, they did get Landry Shamet back into the rotation last game. Was that because Cameron Payne was injured? Is Shamet going to play a part of things? Because he's always one of those guys that he can pop off at any point for 5 triples and then not do anything for 6 straight games. But the Suns have a completely healthy roster at this point, so I'm not sure that he's going to play. And then Josh Okogie is getting the minutes, but there's no real production that gets us super excited, and I don't think that we need to bother with him as a 12-team league guy. In terms of injury replacement stuff, if Dennis Smith is out, we really do go to Teo Maledon and then James Bouknight. If Anunoby and Trent are out, or Trent are out, Boucher gets the boost there, I think. If Bam is out, it's Cody Zeller, then Kevin Love. If Lowry is out, Oladipo and Vincent become better options, as does Strus. If Towns is out, more Kyle Anderson, and maybe a little bit of Luka Garza. If Jokic is out, it's Bruce Brown, it's Jeff Green, it's Peyton Watson. If Trae Young is out, it's Sadiq Bey and Bogdan Bogdanovic. The Blazers and the Spurs, well, if those guys are out, you just look at other Blazers and Spurs. It might be Barlow, it might be Champagny, it might be Wesley, it might be Branham, it might be Knox if he plays, but it might be Jabari Walker, it might be Mays, it might be Harrison, it might be anyone that you're taking a guess at. For the Memphis Grizzlies, if Dylan Brooks is out, more value there in Luke Kennard. If Jaylen Brown is out, I'd be interested in seeing what Peyton Pritchard can do. And with Utah, if Markkanen is out, it's Fontecchio and Abaji, and probably Toscano Anderson who can step up into that spot. If we just look at low volume games across the rest of the week, we've got a bunch of guys playing 2 low-volume games. It's the Blazers, so we've got Eubanks there. The Jazz, Horton Tucker. The Nuggets, Caldwell Pope. The Clippers, Norman Powell. You've got Kevin Knox if he plays. Keita Bates-Diop and the Spurs. Bruce Brown with 2 and Skylar Mays with 2. So there's 8 names that played 2 quality games over the course of the week. And with so many high-volume days, getting a low-volume day in there is pretty interesting. Over the next 4 days, including the high-volume games, so that includes Tuesday and Friday, we've got a bunch of teams playing 3 games. The guys that really benefit, and these guys are all top 100 players that if you add them, you'll start them, I think. You've got Delon Wright, Daniel Gafford, Xavier T. Illman, Denny Avdia, Duran's an interesting one. He's borderline to me. The injury to Bagley helps. Killian Hayes is there with 3, Corey Kispert with 3, and Jimmy Wiseman. Same with Duran and Wiseman are a bit iffy, but if they do play next to each other, their minute ceiling goes from 24 to 28, and that puts them back into the discussion. And normally I'd look at chunks and what's happening 3 and 4s and 4 and 5s, but there's 6 days to go in the season. Basically, every team plays 3 games in 4 nights or 4 games in 6 nights. It's like over half the league for both of those designations, so you don't need me to tell you that. Guys, we are done here. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you're here on YouTube, thumb it up and leave those comments down below. Guys, we are done here. I said that twice. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.